Howdy, welcome to my channel. Today we are taking part in a YouTube hop that is in celebration of Catherine Kelly reaching 1,000 subscriber milestone. Catherine Kelly is the founder of Team Tiny. This hop is hashtag driven, so you'll want to use hashtag Team Tiny Catherine Kelly 1K. It's all one word. This hashtag, which is also the title of this video, can be activated to provide a complete list of this hop's participants. There are prizes to be won, which were generously donated by companies and manufacturers who wanted to support everyone involved in this hop. To be eligible, hop to as many channels on the list as possible. In the comment section, be sure to state your country of residence, as some of the prizes are international and some are open only to the USA. The more channels you comment on, the higher your chances of winning. Also, you should be a subscriber to the channel the winning comment is picked from, along with being a subscriber to Catherine Kelly Designs channel. Comments must be posted before midnight, July 10th, 2020 to be included. Catherine Kelly will post the winners on her channel July 13th, 2020. For today's video, we will be doing a technique that Catherine Kelly showed on her channel, which she called fractured alcohol ink. We're going to be using Yupo paper for that, along with a water bottle and some alcohol inks. You can use any alcohol inks you have. We're also going to be using this stamp, which is actually from Divinity Designs, but their former name was Our Daily Bread Designs. This stamp is still available in their shop, but it just says Our Daily Bread Designs. So let's begin. I'm going to use a sheet of freezer paper on the bottom of my glass mats so that the alcohol ink doesn't spread onto my table. And we're going to use our water bottle, which already has water in it, as well as some alcohol inks. We're using the T-Rex brand of alcohol inks because those are the colors that I liked best. So I don't know if you can tell, but my glass mat has, one of them is glossy and one of them is a matte finish. They're actually the same type of matte, it's just one side has glossy and the other has a matte finish. And I'm gonna wear gloves today because I've already tried this technique without gloves and it got a little messy on my hands, to be honest, and I just don't want them to get any messier. We're also using 2 sheets of the Yupo paper to create this look. I have another video on my channel where I use alcohol inks and Yupo paper, but I also use them, but I also compare the Yupo paper to photo paper. I don't know if this technique would blend itself well with photo paper, as Catherine didn't use that on her channel, and I didn't want to go too far off of what Catherine actually did on her channel, but you could definitely give it a try. So what we do is we spray our mat with water and then we try to drop just 1 drop of alcohol ink. So on this mat you can tell that the alcohol ink is starting to spread a little. Some of it's very light, that's the actual alcohol part, and some of it is dark, that's the pigment part. So what's actually happening in this technique is that the alcohol is blending with the water while the pigment is staying in place. You can spritz this a little more to move that alcohol ink around, but as you can see, the alcohol is willing to move, but the pigment itself is not willing to move. And so now you would place the Yupo paper over the area that has the water with the alcohol ink. You can just place it down. This creates a more organic look. Also, if you wanted to, you could take a bit of a sponge and press lightly down on your Yupo paper so it will pick up the alcohol ink and water mixture. Now we just try to wipe the alcohol ink and water mixtures up, and if you need to, you can always bring in some alcohol to help you clean your mat off. So you just continue to do this technique until you like the look that's on your Yupo paper. So you might be able to tell better on this piece. The spreading out part is the alcohol, and the part that's seeming to stay in place, that's the pigment. And you can activate it more with just a little spray of water. And you just want to pounce on the Yupo paper with your bit of sponge. So what you can do is spray the water down again and just do another drop of the alcohol ink. And then you can pounce on your paper just a bit with the sponge. And then we're just going to try it one more time with the amethyst purple color. So now it won't take long for our alcohol ink and water mixtures to dry. So as you can see, yeah, I got inky a little earlier trying this technique without the gloves, and I just didn't want to get extra inky. So what I like to do to test if my ink is dry on my paper is take a little Post-it and put it on top of the paper. That way my hands don't get inky and I'm less likely to mess up the look that's on the paper that I created. So now we're going to take these two pieces and cut them down to A2 card size. In honor of Catherine Kelly, today I will be donating this box of cards to Cards for Kindness. I will provide a link in the description box if you wish to donate to Cards for Kindness as well. Here are some pre-scored cards, and we're just going to fold that crease using our Teflon bone folder. I prefer to use a Teflon bone folder because it doesn't leave any markings on the paper, although apparently my hands are. So what you can do in that situation is take a Tombow sand eraser and erase them. So we're going to take this drum set from the Jesus Rocks stamp set and stamp it onto our Yupo paper. We're also going to stamp the sentiment "You Rock," which is also in this stamp set. And we're going to use our Misty to help us do the stamping. I like to use a stamping platform because if I don't get the image on the first time all the way, then I can use my stamping platform to help me restamp without worrying about proper placement so that I can get my stamp aligned because it already is aligned. We're going to use our Memento ink today to stamp on our Yupo paper. You can use StazOn as well, but my StazOn is so old that I did try to re-ink it, but it is a mess right now, and I don't think it's even possible to actually be re-inked and useful. We kind of warped our Yupo paper, which isn't good. This is why I really don't recommend using a heat embossing gun when you're using Yupo paper, because you have to keep it so far away, but then if you're using heat embossing powder, you kind of need to bring your heat embossing gun closer, so it's kind of contradictory. So I'm gonna go with this piece. So let's see how much this will detract from the overall look. Okay, that's not so bad. It hides it a little, but not too much. And we could actually trim it down just a bit more since we kind of have a general area of where we want that piece to be. So in case you're wondering, this piece is cut to 2 3/4 wide. It's still 11 long until we stamp it, and we're going to wrap it around this card front. But it should all work out now. And that way you can see the technique a little more, but you can also get our stamped image onto the card. Now, since I know we're going to use the vellum, I'm going to use Versamark Dazzle ink. You could also just use regular Versamark. It's just what I have handy right now. And I'm okay with a little bit of overhang, and that's because we're going to fold that under this piece. Now we're still going to use the Black Embossing Powder because I think that will still look very nice over this piece. And we're still going to use our embossing powder tool. We're going to clean our stamp off a little bit more, get some of that powder off of it. Then we're going to bring in our Versamark Dazzle. So now we've got our Versamark Dazzle on, and we're going to do this rubbing over the stamping with the microfiber cloth, just because I like to make sure that my stamping is smooth. Then we're going to take it off, and we can see it. So that means it's covered nicely. Now we just need to bring our Black Embossing Powder back in. So it pretty much got everywhere we wanted it to, except for a couple of spaces on our drum set. But we're going to use something to fix that once we've got the powder heated up. We're going to grab a clipboard and put our vellum on that while we heat emboss. Because if I apply heat directly onto this mat, it will warp this mat, and I don't want that. What we're going to do for those areas that didn't get the embossing powder, we're going to bring in our embossing pen and color those areas in just a little. That way our embossing powder will want to stick in those areas. We don't have to worry about the powder tool again, but we do have to bring the powder back in it. So I think we're okay. Now that we've got this piece, and we know it's going over this piece, all we have to do is bring in some adhesive to stick this piece onto that piece. But we don't want to directly do it onto the Yupo paper because, well, vellum is see-through. And although I do have some adhesive that will work for it, I know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to bring in our Xyron machine because the Xyron machine will coat this whole piece with the adhesive, and then we can stick it directly onto our Yupo paper. So all you do now is make sure you smooth the vellum onto the adhesive sheet. If you don't have something like a Xyron, what you can use is regular adhesive sheets. I have some of those shown in some of my other videos, as well as a link for where to find them in those videos, description box. But for today, I just wanted to bring out my Xyron. There's nothing wrong with that Xyron. It still works the way it's supposed to, other than you can't actually turn the handle. And other than the fact that originally you were supposed to be able to have the machine take up the plastic that goes over this piece, but that part is also broken on my machine. Aside from that, this machine works perfectly. That machine works perfectly well. Because of the vellum and the thickness of it, because we did put it on the bottom of this, we're going to bring in some tear tape. Because tear tape has the same amount of thickness as the vellum does. If you didn't have vellum on the back, you could totally use any adhesive you wish for the back of the Yupo paper. So we're going to remove the backing from the tear tape, and then we're going to place it onto our card. But we're going to bring our Misty back in to help us with that. Bringing our Misty back in to help us along with this. So how we do that is we bring in our card base and we stick it in the corner, and we take our Yupo paper and stick that in the corner. And because these pieces are both being stuck in the corner, they're going to be able to be helped along to make sure that it's a smooth card front to make sure that there's no overage, or at least not too much overage. There you go. It's nice and pretty and ready to be sent off to your recipient. It only took us a couple of tries to get a card that looks like this, but we did learn some lessons along the way, so that's good. So remember to use the hashtag Team Tiny Catherine Kelly 1K to find the other channels participating in this hop. Remember that we do have some amazing sponsors this time around, and in order to be entered into the giveaways, you need to leave a comment on as many channels as you can find, and you need to, in the comments, you need to provide the country you are in. Also, you need to be subscribed to both Catherine Kelly's channel and the channel that your comment won on. So that would basically mean to me that you should try to subscribe to as many channels as you like. That way you have a higher chance of winning. So I hope you stay safe, stay healthy, stay crafty. If you like what you saw, click the like button. If you would like to see future videos from me, please click the subscribe button. Bye.